Welcome to today's championship race, which is shaping up to be a real nail-biter. Straddling the border of Northamptonshire and Buckinghamshire, the 18 corners of the Silverstone circuit form the 3.6-mile beating heart of Formula One. It's been reinvented over the years, with Turn 1 now the fast right-hander of Abbey, but the magic of racing is as strong here as it's ever been. Anthony Davidson, thanks for joining me once again for the Grand Prix. Why don't we kick off by discussing Max Verstappen? What do you make of their performance so far this season?
It's been a really solid year so far. There have been some incredible standout performances, but what's really impressed me has been the consistency. With this kind of form, I'm expecting another great race today.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Leclerc, Ricciardo, Lando Norris, and Sainz, Ocon, Stroll, Albon, and Sergio Perez. Kvyat, Raikkonen, Pierre Gasly, and Giovinazzi. Grosjean, Verstappen, George Russell, and Sebastian Vettel, Magnussen, and Nicholas Latifi. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track and get this Grand Prix underway.
Here we go, revving up. 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. And it's lights out. Away we go. Hamilton on pole. We saw the Ferrari at the back there. Verstappen and I think Vettel are very far down the grid, and that is Leclerc alongside Valtteri Bottas at the start, but Bottas gets back in front. I believe that's Leclerc up front, although I might be wrong. And that's a Renault of Daniel Ricciardo in P4 at the moment. Great job from him to put his car there after a crazy qualifying yesterday. And yes, Max Verstappen has already caught up to Albon, and he's on the outside of Albon, although Albon did qualify pretty low. Max is already ahead. And here he goes around the outside of the racing point of Lance Stroll, and now here comes Stroll coming back in. No, he's actually not that close to Verstappen, and just the camera made it seem like he was, and now Verstappen's going to go after Sergio Perez. And now in the lead of this race, we can see the two Mercedes have already pulled a decent gap over Charles Leclerc as they're pulling away in this lead. It's Hamilton from Bottas from Leclerc. Who is currently holding third place pretty well, and it's Ricciardo who is somehow in fourth, followed by Norris, then Sainz, and then Esteban Ocon. The top from P4 to P7 is very interesting, as Renault and McLaren are going toe-to-toe. And that's Verstappen down the inside, as he launches it down the inside of, I believe, Pierre Gasly there. And here he is on the back of Stroll. I think he goes down the inside of him too. What an opening lap for Verstappen. I believe he's already up into the points. So I know that was Sergio Perez. And yes, Verstappen on the back of Ocon now, who's in 7th. Verstappen's in 8th then. An incredible start from Max Verstappen. I believe he's P16 at the start of this race, if I'm not mistaken. So as he just gained 8 laps, 8 positions on lap 1. Oh! And that's a car in the pits. I believe Verstappen's contact with Pierre Gasly has meant that Pierre is now in the pits and has broken his front wing, although that was completely Pierre's fault. He turned in really hard on Max, as Max was trying to make an overtake. But anyways, Hamilton and Bottas are pulling away. Bottas is kind of keeping up with Hamilton, but he's losing a bit of time, as the top 3 have already pulled a decent gap on Daniel Ricciardo. And Leclerc is doing an okay job given how slow his car is, but I mean, there's not really much he can do. The Mercedes are just such quick machines, and the Red Bulls are kind of nowhere near them. So I do think this will be a pretty lonely race for Leclerc, as Hamilton sparking away on the Hangar Straight in that beautiful new black livery for Mercedes that they've brought here in Britain, and they're going to run till the end of the season. Ricciardo still holding 4th place pretty well over Lando Norris, who seems to be a little bit quicker. It looks like that McLaren has a bit more race pace than Renault, but Ricciardo has been incredible all season. Now Verstappen, you can see, has lost a lot of time to Ocon. He did start on the mediums, which are much slower than the softs at this track. And Verstappen all weekend has been struggling with that car and struggling to get up to speed. And he is losing time to Esteban Ocon here, and he is holding up quite a train. But we know how good Max is at defending. Can he defend against the 2 Racing Points and his teammates? We're going to find out now. But anyways, here comes Lando Norris on the back of Daniel Ricciardo with DRS. He's not quite close enough, actually. Renault has some decent straight line speed today. And here they go down the inside. Go Stroll, I think. But Verstappen holds it around the outside quite brilliantly. Unfortunately, the camera angles were not great there. But we can see Stroll had a look. But Max sent it right back around the outside. Through the corners, Verstappen is still the quickest, but not by much, and he is struggling a lot on that set of tires. And that's Kimi Räikkönen in P11, I think. So he's not done. Oh no, it's Giovinazzi? He's not doing horrible, and Vettel is in P12, I think. So after starting pretty low, he's doing what he can in this race to come back. After a pretty decent comeback in Austria, and of course there's a win in France that came out of absolutely nowhere because of Hamilton's DNF. Anyways, Vettel on the back of Giovinazzi. Is he going to go for it? No, Giovinazzi also had DRS. And there they are, down the inside. Kimi Räikkönen on the inside. This is a massive battle. Stroll's gotten in front of Verstappen. Kimi Räikkönen round the outside of Sergio. Now we're on board with a replay here. From Megan Bex, we saw Verstappen went very, very wide, and that meant Stroll with DRS easily passed Max on the straight, and so did Sergio Perez, I think. And that's 4 wide on the straight. No, it's not. Here goes Albon on the outside of Max Verstappen. Verstappen takes the inside on Albon. Down the inside of Alex Albon goes Verstappen, and we can see now just how everybody got into these positions, as there's a titanic battle going on here between all these guys because of how slow Verstappen has been on the stint. He might even have a car problem. I'm not too sure, but Kimi does get in front of Perez. And Kimi Räikkönen has just put himself up to the points paid positions. What a drive by Kimi Räikkönen in this race. But now it looks like Stroll might just pull away in the distance from Verstappen. Max is keeping up through these corners. He's later on the brakes. Look at that. He's nearly gone at the back of Stroll, and oh my god, Stroll's got a way better exit there, but Max is going to come back at him on the straight here. With the DRS, surely he's using the overtake button. Here he goes to the inside of Lance Stroll. They're gonna go side by side, down the inside. Stroll squeezes Verstappen nearly off track, but Max, with the tightest of gaps, finds a way past. What a move by Max Verstappen to get past Lance Stroll once again and defend his place. But now Ocon has completely gone into the distance, and I don't think Verstappen, even when he goes down on the softs, will actually be able to catch Ocon. That's how much Ocon has pulled away, but maybe he will. Anyways, the 2 Mercedes have already won this race, aka they've pulled like 5 seconds on Leclerc now, or something like that. They've pulled a massive gap on Charles Leclerc, but Bottas is keeping up with Hamilton. He's still on the DRS. He's got some decent pace, Valtteri. You know, he doesn't like getting beaten by Lewis, especially at if there's a track he wants to beat Lewis at, it would surely be this track. And Lando Norris round the outside of Daniel Ricciardo at Stowe. What a move. Ricciardo's come back at him into the chicane. Back down the inside goes Ricciardo. Norris is on the outside. Lando just about, and Ricciardo trying to find a gap. No. And now we watch a replay of how Lando Norris passed Daniel Ricciardo. So you see Norris round the outside of Stowe, but Ricciardo comes back at him as he hits the inside line. Then they go side by side down the hill. Lando Norris does get in front, but Ricciardo tries to outbrake him into these next corners. Norris has the outside, Ricciardo has the inside. Ricciardo tries coming back at him and gives him a good almighty fight, but Norris gets in front, and it's a good move from Lando. As now look at that, Sainz is having a look at Daniel Ricciardo. We are back live with this race. So the McLarens and Renault's really going at it this season. And this race. See, I believe that's Albon chasing down the Racing Points of Lance Stroll, who was trying to catch up to Max Verstappen. We have this four-way battle for 4th place. And now we can see Albon so close to Stroll. But he just can't quite find a way past. As Kimi Räikkönen's still doing a great job, I think, given the speed of that car. After a pretty strong Austrian Grand Prix, one that really could have been even better for the Alpha team. Still a decent job from them. And now Albon, you can see since Stroll has DRS, nothing Albon can really do against Stroll because Stroll's got more top speed. And he's stuck behind Verstappen, so Albon's just there's nothing he can really do. Verstappen creating a bit of a train here as he is losing time to Esteban Ocon. Yes, Perez is still behind Raikkonen, who is keeping up with these guys in front of him. You'd think Verstappen, Stroll, and Albon would be able to pull away from Kimi Räikkönen, but it doesn't seem like they're really doing such a great job of that. Anyways, here comes Stroll with DRS. Here comes Albon. There's nothing Albon can do. And Verstappen touches the grass there, goes wide through Stowe, very wide through Stowe. And now here comes Lance Stroll, and Verstappen decided he's going to pit. Despite being on the harder tire, meaning he could go longer, he's decided he wants to pit earlier to go onto the softer tire. And really push on this next stint. Trying to get a big undercut, and that is, I believe, Lewis Hamilton at the pit. Yes, that is Bottas on track. So Hamilton has pit because he was the car in front. So it makes sense that he would get the preferential treatment at his team. Vettel is trying to make his way through the field, and he's right at the back of Sergio Perez here. On to this next straight. We know how quick that Ferrari is in a straight line, but the Racing Point is a quick car too, as it is basically a pink Mercedes. And there goes Kimi Räikkönen trying to make an overtake on Stroll, as I believe Albon's gotten in front of Stroll. Yes, Albon, I believe, overtook Stroll, and then Kimi had a look at Stroll. That is very disappointing from Lance. You'd expect a little bit more from him. But anyways, here we are watching Lewis Hamilton now. Flying through turn 1. And that's Valtteri Bottas! Right there, they're going to go side by side into this next corner. Who's going to come out in front? Hamilton! Round the outside! Bottas at the inside! Hamilton's in front! Bottas made that overcut work brilliantly. As we said earlier, these soft tires are actually working very, very well, and it seems the undercut wasn't the way to go, because now Hamilton's under threat from Bottas. Bottas is the overtake button active, as well as slipstream DRS, none of which are strong enough to actually overtake Lewis Hamilton. That is Max Verstappen, who's caught up to Esteban Ocon a lot with that big, I believe, 2-lap undercut, as well as being just generally faster on the faster tires. Now he's on the faster tire, the faster car, and he should be able to pass Esteban Ocon relatively soon, but Ocon is in that train, and it is very challenging to overtake when you are in a train at this track. Here we go, we're watching Valtteri Bottas come on the back of Lewis Hamilton here. He's closer than he's ever been, but he's not quite close enough. here. Bottas really trying to get past Lewis Hamilton. Really wants to beat him here. If there's a track you'd want to beat Hamilton at, this is it. This is the track to beat Lewis Hamilton at. There he goes, flying through turn 1. 2, braking for 3. Nice and late. Gonna try and get the best possible exits. So now we go with his onboard here. As we watch him try and keep up with Hamilton, but Hamilton is kind of pulling away now. He's using the overtake button through Copse there. Not too sure why he's done that, but... and through Baggett as well. But he's trying to get Hamilton. He's trying to catch up to him. He's still in the DRS, I believe. He is. You can see in his mirrors he has the rear wing open, but even then he's not really fast enough, or close enough, I should say, to make that move. Here he is. You can see he's about matching Lewis's pace, but he's... oh, he's a bit closer now. I think Hamilton's lost the back end a little bit through there. Because look at how much Bottas has gone up. Here he goes with the DRS. Oh, he's gonna try. And actually the DRS isn't as strong as we were expecting. Possibly he's running some lower engine setting or something, because I really should have gone at least alongside Lewis there. And now they accelerate back on this run to Copse. Through the old start finish line, we're going down the field. You can see Ricardo, Sainz, and then Verstappen has overtaken Esteban Ocon, and now he's in pursuit of Carlos Sainz as we go down the field. Here comes Valtteri Bottas with the DRS on Lewis Hamilton. Here he goes down the inside. They're gonna go side by side through snow. They're still side by side. Hamilton and Bottas. Bottas on the outside. Hamilton on the inside. Hamilton outbreaks Bottas. It's this next corner. Bottas at the inside. He beat quite. Hamilton's still on the outside. An incredible Mercedes battle. Bottas has the lead of the race, and he has the inside for turn 1. And there he is at the lead of the race. Hamilton's still very close behind. We're on board with Lewis. He outbreaks Bottas, but not by enough to make an overtake. Valtteri Bottas, what an overtake! To get in front of Lewis Hamilton. And there he is, pulling off into the distance. We saw in the second phase of the race, Bottas was the one with all the pace on this harder compounded tire, and he was all over the back of Lewis, and it was only a matter of time, really. The pace Bottas had, he really wanted to beat Lewis this race, and you could see that as he made a very good overtake into still. Now we watch Max Verstappen with the DRS, but unfortunately Sainz also has the DRS, and that means Max can't really do much, and you can see Hamilton is losing a lot of time to Bottas. He might actually have a car problem there, because he's lost a lot of time to Valtteri. I thought he was going to come back at him this lap, but it is possible that he has a car problem. I don't believe he had a problem when Bottas overtook him, because he was able to keep up with Bottas for the first sector or so of this lap. But you can see he's really losing a lot of time. He's out of the DRS now, so surely he has an issue, because Lewis is not that slow. And Norris pulling away from Ricardo. We can see Verstappen try to catch Sainz, but he's actually coming under threat from Ocon. Those tires, those soft tires, aren't going to last for much longer. You're not going to give him that advantage of grip for much longer. Here we are on board with Max Verstappen, and he absolutely launches it down the inside of Carlos Sainz. They don't make contact. Sainz on the inside for the next corner. Verstappen's on the outside. Sainz is the inside. Sainz might have to back off a little bit. Verstappen has his foot planted. Here comes Sainz back out the straight. Verstappen squeezing him to the inside. Incredible racing. Sainz gets back in front. They nearly make contact. One racing between those two. As Ricciardo pulls away, but absolutely massive dive bomb by Verstappen. He knew if he didn't make that move there, he probably wouldn't have been able to pass Sainz for the rest of this race, given the lack of straight line speed in that Red Bull. And there's Sebastian Vettel pushing. Bottas looks on course to win this race now. As that'll be great for his championship. As he's really playing up a good championship fight this year, and that is great to see. Of course, Lewis did have his 2 mechanical DNFs at both Bahrain and France, while also crashing in the back of Kvyat last race, meaning that I believe Bottas leads the championship. As their other championship contender, Max Verstappen, down in 5th place right now. Sorry, 6th place. He's behind both Norris and Ricciardo, and given the state of his tires, I'm not sure if he's really going to be able to catch up with the amount of laps remaining. Here we are watching Kimi Räikkönen on the back of the Racing Point of Lance Stroll, I think. He's on the softer tire, but Stroll's in a quicker car. As I don't think Perez is in the points, unless that's the Racing Point behind them is Stroll. And there goes Sergio Perez down the inside of Daniel Kvyat. Then back around the outside, Kvyat holding the inside. He was last at one stage. Yes, it is Sergio Perez down here trying to get points in this race. And yes, Kvyat, after his contact with Max at the beginning of this race, meant that Kvyat was down in last place after his pit stop. And now, here he is trying to get points. So a great recovery from Kvyat. Of course, you know, it's not that big a deal, but given the state of his tires, it is a pretty big deal. And also the mediums not being a very good tire today, not being a great race tire. Their lack of speed is just showing. But here comes Sergio Perez on the final lap of the race. Here it goes to the outside. It's to Stowe. Round the outside. Kvyat has the inside. Right around the outside goes Sergio Perez on the final lap of the race. Back down the inside. And then Kvyat has the inside to the next corner. Perez gets out in front. What a race. Valtteri Bottas wins with Hamilton in 2nd and Leclerc in 3rd.
Yet another historic win under their belts. Well done to the team at Mercedes. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today. And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. More points for Valtteri Bottas, further solidifying his lead at the top of the table. Let's focus on the driver of the day. Anthony Davidson, who do you pick?
Often my go-to would be a driver who's managed to pull off an especially impressive feat during the race. However, in this instance, I was more impressed by Max Verstappen's solid, clean driving throughout the event.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula